My name is Dan Hay, and I'm the executive producer on Far Cry 5. I work in Montreal, Canada, and I work for Ubisoft. It's an interesting question. How did I get into games? I think it's, some people come in through the door, other people come in through the window. I definitely came in through the window. I was pretty lucky when it came to transferable skills from film or from television or commercials or whatnot to games, because games was moving really quickly. And so at the time, I was an animator, I was a lighter, I was doing a lot of stuff for cinematics. And at the place that I was working, a company came in and basically said, hey, listen, we've got a whole bunch of stuff we need done for E3. And it's sort of spec work, and you come in and do that stuff. And so I was like, all right, let's give it a try. And at the end of it, it was like, wait a minute, this is pretty cool. I'm working on my first game. I'm getting a sense of storytelling in games. And so I kind of said, I'm going to make the switch. And then went into being the lead animator and the cinematic director on games, and then eventually moving into art direction. And what was really cool about that is that I was using some of the similar software. I was using sort of the similar tools. I had the same muscle memory in terms of working in film or television. And games is fast, really, really fast. And you get to iterate. You get to move quickly, but iterate at the same time. And it was really cool to be able to see games traverse very, very quickly and grow quickly from the standpoint of its evolution. So I loved it. When you sit down to watch a movie, it's fairly passive, right? You're in the theater or you're at home and you are a consumer. You are consuming that data. Whereas when you're playing a game, it's about verbs, it's about action. And you're doing, and you're almost writing that experience. And it may be that if you're playing a linear experience that it's been crafted, it's been curated by somebody, but you're still setting the tempo, you're still setting what you want to do. And so that was just something that I thought was cool and wanted to be a part of. You know, when you think about a comparative analysis of where we are in games and where we are in film and comparing them, it's super hard when you're in it to really be able to be objective about it and to compare them. But I think it's a matter of, as an artist, as somebody who's a creator, how easy is it to use the tools, and how easy is it to, how many stumbling blocks are there to tell the story? And day to day, how do you feel? Are you able to grow the adventure? Are you able to create action bubbles? Are you able to do new things? And is it relatively simple to at least try and do it? And in games, it's really interesting. You think about building games and how quickly they're moving, and open world games and how big they're getting. We want to have the attention of the player for a long time. We want them to be able to live in this world and drink in this world and get a sense of how expansive and generous the space is. And I think that it's something that I think movies are going to start to look at, and other media are going to start to look at, is that we're building choose your own adventure platforms, right? And then we're putting, in some cases, putting them online. And I think that players are able now to even use the tools themselves and start to develop stuff that's better than what we're doing. And that's the thing that's really interesting, is when you build a game, and maybe this is the best answer that I can come up with for this, is that you make a movie or you make a story and you put it out there, and I would suspect that people would react to it as I like it or dislike it. But the thing about a game is that you build the systems and you build the characters and you have in your mind, this is the way to play it. And then you hand it over and they do anything but that. And you're like, oh, they're not getting the experience that I wanted. They're not understanding the vision. It doesn't matter. They're getting what they want out of it. They're authoring their own story. They're playing with the world, and they're having the collision of systems make stuff that's better than you could have possibly imagined. And it's really hard to imagine getting that anywhere else. It's funny when you think about the question about how real is real, and how much is it an homage or how much is it a cliche, and the comparative analysis of whether or not a game should feel real or not. What I would do is say that the devil's in the details, right? If we're building digital worlds, then everybody knows how tall a staircase should be. Everybody knows where the door handle should be. Everybody knows when they mantle into a house, they're going through a window or whatever, what should feel right. And so that's the kind of stuff that we get for free. But I think the thing that we could do a better job of is leveraging instinct, right? Trust and distrust. That's a big deal, right? I mean, you have the ability as a human being to look at somebody and go, yeah, I don't trust you. And you don't know why, you can't quantify it. That's the kind of thing in games that's really interesting. The idea that you've got digital characters that have a reason for being in the game that is not just to give you a mission and then turn themselves off and then come back and give you another mission. It's that you want to build real living characters with real purpose who will do stuff while you're gone. And then you start to play with trust and distrust. You start to play with loyalty. You start to play with them using the systems as well. And that's where things get beyond imagination. I think that as a creator, sometimes you can overcomplicate things, and you have a tendency to build these outlandish scenarios where the player has to have agency, and they have to, the moon is going to smash into the Earth, and they have the only person on the planet that can protect the Earth from the moon. When in point of fact, simple is probably best, right? Is that if you want to create a situation where people are feeling stressed, then leverage a sound that we all know, like just the sound of a police siren going off. Okay, I know that if I'm driving and I hear a police siren go off, my heart rate goes up about 2 points. And I immediately see whether or not I'm speeding. And I immediately start to feel nervous. And it's Pavlovian. It's just this thing that happens because I understand the language of that and it's instinct. Same thing about the situations that you put the player in. They don't have to be crazy. They don't have to be outlandish. It can just be walking down a dark hallway and the sound of a bottle being kicked off in the distance. And I think that one of the things that we do as creators is sometimes we overcomplicate. People know what they're afraid of, people know what they love, people understand and have experiences, and if you can leverage those experiences rather than trying to build entirely new worlds that are different, that they can't necessarily have relatability to, you miss a lot of the stuff that is humanity. I think if you were to ask me, what I would say to somebody who's going to step into the industry is there's two conversations that need to happen. The first is I would want to talk to their parents, and I think that a lot of the times social pressure or what parents are saying kids are supposed to do or what happened to them in the past in terms of the jobs that were available, they don't have an imagination for the future. And so I would just say to the folks, relax, chill out. Your kids are tapping into technology. They're tapping into a bandwidth that you can't hear, and it's okay. Just trust that you're going to be able to give them the support to be able to do that. The second thing I'd say to the person who is actually going to do it is, it's not easy. You got to work at it. And don't lose the human side. A lot of the times right now we're digitizing a lot of our communication and something's getting lost, but it's still who equals what. It's still people talking to each other. It's still about talking to people and working together and all rowing in the same direction. So don't lose those social skills. Don't lose the ability to be a diplomat or to be able to invest in other people's ideas because it's an incredibly important skill.
I know that you were out there. And I know that you were in pain. But my children, I'm here to tell you that suffering is a choice, and you can choose a better path. We want you, we accept you, and we will take you, willingly or not.
I get asked a lot about, where are we going to go next? What are we going to do next? Just based off of sort of how Far Cry 5 seems to have tapped into something that's happening now, even though we figured it out 3 years ago. And the truth is, I have no idea. I would love to give you a smart answer and tell you this is what's going to happen. But if I thought about what I wanted to have happen, I know that VR right now, everybody's talking about it. And I know that people don't know how it's going to grow. But what I think could be really interesting is the digital workspace itself. What's the old saying, invest in land because nobody's making it anymore? That's not true. We're making digital landscape. And I think that if we had the ability to make it so that you could put on that VR headset and that the ease of use of building your mind palace, of building your creative, of all that sort of chronicling what it is that you want to do was easier or becomes easier, that's an incredibly powerful tool for creators. If you could chronicle what you're doing and then hand it to somebody else and go, here, look, this is my brain. And there are tools to interpret what's there from a communication standpoint. That's amazing.